Okay, so full disclosure, I started out by playing with this layout. Last night I went through and used some of the new Vicki Boutin products. These are the art crayons, and these have been around for a bit, but I'm just now getting to use them for the first time. And as well as her stamps and stencils. These are the stencils, and they're absolutely beautiful. And the stencil was perfect for this layout. And here are the stamps. These stamps were so great for using on the background with the art crayons. So I'm documenting one of my favorite photos of my daughter, her in her princess dress, her belle dress, cuddling with our dog Toby. And I just wanted kind of a pretty soft background, and these were perfect. So what I'm going to do is show you how I created this background and then create my layout since my background is already dry. Now this is awesome paper. I just have to tell you about it. This is the new Vicki Boutin mixed media paper, and it is super duper thick, and it hardly I did that whole background and it hardly buckled at all, like so little. It's so much better than watercolor paper. So what I have here is a piece of transparency, and I think I got this in a large pack from an office supply store, something like that. You can also find basil, I believe, acetate sheets. So I'm grabbing the art crayons. These guys are so fun, and I've just grabbed some colors. I'm using mostly yellow and pink on this layout today. And I want to start out with the two yellows here. So kind of a bright lemon yellow and a little bit of an orangey yellow. And I have my pot of water and just a regular paintbrush, and I'm going to just add some color with these crowns onto the acetate sheet, and then use my paintbrush to add some water to this. You could also use a mister, which is also included in this awesome mixed media collections. I'll show you that later. And then I'm going to turn this over and just touch that to the page. If you don't like the way it looks the first time, then just keep touching it on there. And you can do that until pretty much all the color is gone off the acetate sheet. And now I'm going to grab a paper towel. Oh no, I'm going to add some more color first. You can still do that while it's wet and just add just a little bit more water because that wasn't enough to begin with. So I'm kind of making a diagonal line here with the yellow pigment. Okay, now I'm going to wipe it off so that I can switch colors. And I'm going to pick up the pink crayon and just add a bit of color here. Now these are brand new, so you'll notice that there's kind of a film on the outside when you first open them. And I think I might have had still some yellow on my brush. So this isn't as pink as I'd like it to be. So I'm just going to clean that off and try again. So when you first get the crayons, and Vicki has an awesome YouTube channel where she just gives you all of the information you need to know about her products. So I would say go and check out her Facebook page if you want to learn some of these techniques, and she tells you all about what to do when you get your crayons, how to prime them, and the best ways to apply them to your layouts. Just going to add a tiny bit more pink down there at the bottom corner. Okay. I'm just going to wipe off my acetate sheet so that I don't smear any of the other product on my desk. So what I love about this paper and this product is you're not using that much water, and this paper is kind of magic. It dries so quickly. So even though I just put this color on, I feel comfortable already with adding the stencil at the top. So now I'm picking up the gold glaze, and this stuff is pretty amazing. And I have my palette knife here. So look at the consistency of it. It's thick, but it's so smooth, and it goes on like butter, really. Definitely butter is what I would say. So I have this open. I have my stencil here, and I'm going to place my stencil about the midpoint of my layout, but I want to be sure that I don't bump my paper and move my stencil during the process. So I'm going to add a tiny bit of washi tape just to keep everything lined up. Okay, so there we go. Washi tape has been added. So the most important thing about doing this technique is just playing around with it. I find that you definitely have to get, there's an angle that just works really well with getting it in there evenly in your stencil. And I do find that I have a hard time with like big open spaces, so like this feather down here, especially when I'm trying not to get the other image down at the bottom right corner, because I want it to look like it's hanging from the top of my layout. I don't want those other kind of beads that are going upwards, so that can be kind of difficult. But I've got it all in there. There we go. Pulled that off, and now I'm going to add it just alongside again. If you wanted it closer, you would have to wait until the first image dried fully, but I don't have to wait. I don't need it that close. It's only about an inch apart from the first one. So I'm going to do it again. Just where the edge of my paper ends is where I'm stopping adding the medium. And you want to be sure that you don't waste any of this, because I like to be generous with the amount I'm using when I'm first adding it to the stencil, just to be sure that I'm getting it all in the little bits of the stencil. But scrape all of that off, because you don't need to waste it. Making sure I clean my palette knife right away. There we go. I had a slight bit of movement on that last feather, but overall not bad. Okay, so I have the stamps, and this is another technique I learned from Vicki. I have the large flower here, and I'm going to take my art crayon. I'm going to use the darker yellow for this one because I want it to stand out from the yellow on the background, and a bit of that peachy color. And then these are the little misters. They're so adorable. I just filled that with water, and I'm going to spray my stamp directly onto the stamp and stamp onto my background. And this creates a really soft kind of image. It almost looks as though it's been watercolored on. And Vicki shares this on her YouTube feed, so be sure that you watch that. It's on one of the crayon videos, I believe. And I also want a pink flower on the side, so I'm going to do the same thing with pink, but I'm not going to fully scrub off my my stamp. I'm just going to add that crown right on top, that pink. I just did a little wipe off and then adding the pink crayon right on top. And spraying it again. And then just adding that onto the background. Look how gorgeous that is. It's just so pretty. And I'm going to wipe that off of my stamp. I just want to show you a close-up of what this looks like, just so that you can see how beautiful and soft and just kind of dreamlike it is. I really, really love these products. And for someone who's mixed media challenged, okay, like so me, I put my background aside really and I'm going to grab a large chipboard piece for my title. This is from the Dear Lizzie Stargazer collection. It says hello, but it's plain white and I really want to make that look nicer. So what I'm going to do is grab the art crayons again and the gold glaze. And I'm just going to do some watercoloring with the pink. And then I'm going to add some of that gold glaze to the top to give it a metallic sheen. So I'm not filling the pink in all the way. And to get more pigment here, I'm just adding more pink without any water. I don't want it competing too much with my background, so I don't want it to be too bright. But I do want you to be sure that you can tell that it's pink. So now I'm going to add the gold glaze, and my paintbrush is just slightly wet. And I'm just adding kind of highlights of the gold wherever there is white. So because I know it's hard to see from way up there, I'm going to show you the close-up of what I'm doing. So I already have my pink in there and I'm just adding the gold wherever there's white. Look at how gorgeous that is. It's really a really beautiful gold color. Sometimes golds can be too brassy or bronzy looking, and this is just really, really pretty. And it's going to go with my background so well. Okay, so here's a close-up of how the piece turned out. I can't wait to get this on my layout. So let's finish our layout. So here we go. This is the background that I made last night, and it's all dry and ready to go. I have my photo sized at 4 inches by 4 inches, and I have a couple of papers from the Dear Lizzie Stargazer collection just because they matched my photo so well, that yellow of the dress and that yellow of that pretty floral kind of circle-y background. And I'm just adding my photo with dimensional adhesive here. And then I'm using my tape runner to add the pattern papers. And I just want small bits of them kind of peeking out from the background. And I want it to look like those beads on the top of the layout are kind of cascading down on the photo. So now I'm going to add the hello, which is already pretty much dry, which is awesome. And I also have some die cuts here from Vicki's collection, her latest collection. And I've pulled out these two butterflies because I think they're really beautiful, and I love the little bit of black it adds in there, and the pink and yellow. It's pretty much perfect. So I also have the Dear Lizzie Stargazer thickers, and these are pretty cool because they're foam. They're gold or copper, whatever you want to call that color on the top, but the foam is actually pink. So when you look at it from the side or at an angle, it's pink, which I find really cool. And I'm just going to spell out the word princess here. Okay, so I've just decided I have two butterflies and I need a third, so I'm going to pull out these stamps again from Vicki's collection, and I am going to grab the pink art crayon, which is kind of difficult to get out without the use of your middle finger. So I've grabbed that out, and I'm just going to color on the stamp really quickly. And you really want to kind of use some force to get that on there to get a really nice colorful image. I sprayed it just once, and there we go. So that's been added to my background. Just add one more butterfly in there. Next, I've pulled some of the Stargazer die cuts out because they have really great colors for this layout, the pink and the yellow. And that notepad die cut there I'm going to use for my journaling, but I want to print my journaling. So I'm going to mark the line that I need to kind of cut off my journaling. I'm going to just draw a faint pencil line there, and then I'm going to scan that in. So I scanned it in, I added my journaling in Photoshop, and I've printed it out on my die cut so you can see my journaling there. I love this little ribbon. It says "You are the best." I'm just going to add some dimensional adhesive behind it. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere everything down. There's a lot of texture, and I'm adding some dimension on this page with some dimensional adhesive. Because part of my hello word is going to be up on my photo, which is adhered with dimensional adhesive, I'm going to also add the hello with dimensional adhesive as well, but I want to use small pieces. I don't want to waste all of my my dimensional adhesive because that stuff can get expensive, so I cut up the edges and just use them. Okay, so my title's going on here. I just want to make sure that I get that straight. And my P from princess is kind of hidden there below the O, so I'm just going to drop that down a tiny bit. if I can, just so that it's more legible to read. Okay, next I have these little enamel shapes. And you can find all of the product information in the video notes, or if you're on my blog, you can find it all on the blog there so that you know what all the product is that I'm using. But I'm just going to do a little scattering of the yellow and the pink ones, pretty much by the butterflies. This layout was so much fun to create, and when I first started playing with the products, I really wasn't sure how it would turn out. I've never used the kiss technique before. I've never used the art crayons before. I've only used watercolor, and I really love the ease of using them and how easy it is to get the paint on the background in that really pretty way using the kiss technique. I also love stamping with the art crayons. I think it creates such a pretty image. And I've used stencils before, but that glaze, that gold glaze, is just really gorgeous. So if you're mixed media challenged like me, I'm telling you, give it a try, give it a go. It's really easy. Thank you so much for watching, and you can find all of the product info in my video notes or on my blog post, which you can also find in the video notes. Happy creating in your mixed media style.